So after this couple came to look at this thing, I'm actually selling this for very cheap. But, you know, I got to get rid of it. $400, but I have to deliver it to Bayshore. Not too bad. Now I'm loading it. Love my winch. This mower was a pain in my ass, just like the other one. But people love the 30-inch wide deck. You know what I'm saying? Off I go. So I was just walking my dog. You guys know my dog, Boba. Anyway, I saw this dude. He was just like unloading his garbage. And so I just took a real quick look at it, and I saw the word Mustang. And then I recognized the shape of it, because I was a Mustang guy. I had like 4 Mustangs in my life. A 79 4-cylinder turbo is the Indy pace car replica. That car was a piece of junk. I had an 82 5.0, I had an 88 GT, and, hell, I don't remember. Anyhow, I thought this might be worth some money because this looks like it's a 64 through 66 Mustang hubcap. It's in great shape. Anyway, I think maybe I'll get 20 bucks or 30 bucks out of here or something like that. And then I saw this one here. It's like one of those dog dish type hubcaps. For a second, I thought this was a Lincoln, right? You know, the logo. Looked kind of like a Lincoln, but it's kind of missing one star, you know, the one spike that goes like that, right? I thought that was weird. So then if you look at it this way, it could have been a really old vintage Cadillac logo. But then I thought about it, and I says, actually my first car was a Oldsmobile Delta 88 with a 455 4-barrel. And it's similar to a Lincoln. If this was all the way through without the spike sticking out, it would be an Oldsmobile logo. I think this might be a 60 or mid-60s Oldsmobile cap. This might be worth some money too. It's in great shape as well. Can't let this stuff go in the garbage. Somebody could use it. I'm gonna rinse it off. Just pee on it. Not peeing on it. So this piece of crap Eager one that I put together, carburetor, while it starts and stuff, the carburetor still leaks. You know, very little, but it's nevertheless, it still leaks. I've messed with it like 3 times. It just won't stop leaking. As you remember, my snapper with the power washer engine on it. Well, this engine actually runs very well, but as you know, there's no threads in the crankshaft, so I can't put a blade on there. However, it's got a good carburetor that doesn't leak. So I'll simply just put this carburetor on this mower, then it won't leak, it'll run right, and I could sell it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but no matter what, it's a working engine with good parts. But I'll change the carburetor. This carburetor is very easy to remove. Easiest way is to, well, first take off the air filter. This is my homemade one. Whatever works. Cut off the fuel. Take off the 2 screws, Phillips on the intake manifold. Disconnect the linkage. Disconnect the fuel line. is? The Leaky Carburetor. Leaky. Taking this one off is going to be a little bit more difficult because this muffler is designed in a way that it's actually in the way of the screw. Let's see if I can squeeze it in there. I was lucky to get it out because the muffler is in the way. I almost feel like I should take the muffler off because I have a feeling I'm going to have a problem. This guy has got a 10 millimeter bolt on there. See? Weird. Take off this air cleaner. How is that even on there? Yep, the muffler's in the way. Which is going to be a problem because mufflers usually are tough to take off, you know, because of the rust and the heat and stuff. Usually you strip them. I was lucky. Lucky. There we go. Holding this together, man. It's got a wire here. It's probably the kill wire. Damn, man. It's got this green kill wire right here. I don't want to pull on it and break it. You know what? I think that's on there permanente. It is. It's soldered on there. Well, let me take off this air cleaner then. How is the air cleaner still on here? I see. It's got a bunch of bolts on the other side. Now you want to take off this top throttle bracket here. Throttle bracket actually is pretty fancy for this year. 2 5/16. And then you take that off, see? Let that hang there. There you go. There's the linkage. Z-bend for the return spring thing. Of course I don't have a fuel cutoff for that, so I'm going to have to use my pinchers even though I hate them. I don't really think these pinchers work very well, but I really have no choice. Pinch! There it is. Here's the other carburetor. So I'm gonna just swap them after I take this rubber thing off. Now if you notice here, we've got a little bit of a adapting problem here. So this is the one off of the green machine, okay? This carburetor does not have a choke assembly. This one off the power washer does. Okay? This actually has a choke assembly, which means I need to put that bracket back on so that there's a lever where I can control the choke. See what I'm saying? And the throttle, right? It had a kill wire on that bracket, which I'm just going to cut, because this mower over here has an automatic, you know, from the handle to shut it off, you know. Also, if you look at the intake manifold, right, it's a little different. This one's down because this was designed to be under the muffler. This one is up because it's designed to be over the muffler. So to get this carburetor onto this manifold, I'll have to remove this and switch the manifolds, right? Switch the manifolds and then put the bracket back on here so that the choke will work. But I know this is a good carburetor and it doesn't leak, which is what I want on here. That's the only problem with this thing right here, is that the carburetor leaks. So I'll put this one on there and reconfigure this one to work on that, you know. So that's what I'm going to do. But first, I need to go and deliver that red riding mower on my way to Bayshore. So I'm over here at Ray's house, gonna unload his new baby. Got the winch all set up, and it's just gonna pop right down. Okay, let me fix the steering so that it doesn't go off. There we go. Extend.
Alright, hold on. Let me take, I want to take a picture of the bottom. Hold on. Since it's up in the... Hi, baby.
Okay, now we're going to get all the way down. There we go. Gotta pull it a little.
It's pretty cool.
You see that?
Small man, you've been doing this for a minute.
I've been doing it for a while. Installing that winch was a pain, though.
I can fucking imagine. You couldn't even shoot the 22 caliber in there. You had fucking...
Oh, I had to drill holes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just put the bracket back on here again, the original bracket. And the reason why this bracket is here is because, look, this actually has a choke lever, see? This part right here pushes this lever here, which this one doesn't have. It's missing. Not missing, but this is designed to not have one. This is designed to have a choke flap. See? It's spring-loaded. And basically this bracket on here allows you to prime, and to help it start, it chokes it. Once it's started, you release the choke and it goes full throttle, while this still has the tensioner for the governor. So I'm going to install this and see if this works out right. I know this is a good carburetor, and it primes as well as starts and runs well for that snapper. So now, as you remember, this is the wrong intake manifold, right? It's just different. This one's pointed straight out, this one's pointed down a little bit. So I have to swap this with that. It's pretty easy to do as long as you can reach, right? Like that. I have to get a couple of wrenches, because when you turn this, that'll move. Got a couple of 3/8 wrenches. Just gotta hold them. This won't let you use the impact because there's always something in the way. My major concern right now is, remember, just this intake manifold. Broke this gasket. Right. I'll take this one off. So this is a 3/8 and 7/16 combination. I'll use the same combination to put that other one on because this is what's meant for this carburetor. And I'm a dumbass because I just put this on this bracket and this is not the intake manifold I need. Damn it. So the bracket just comes off like that. I know this looks a little crazy because I've got all these parts around and stuff, but I'm not worried because I've taken apart like hundreds of carburetors and I just know what goes where. But you may want to separate all this stuff because I know this looks like complete mayhem over here with screws and stuff like that. Sometimes it is mayhem. Alright, so here is the one that I want. But I ruined that gasket, so I have to go find a gasket for this. I have spares. This was from one of the carburetor kits that I got. I bought tons of carburetors in my lifetime, and sometimes you don't need to change them because you take them off correctly and or it wasn't that old, so it works. So now we're going to put a new gasket there. I hope I'm putting the right one on after all that. Oh, see? Almost did that wrong. this bracket back on. You could actually adjust the throttle too if you didn't have this. See? Because you can bend this in or out depending on how fast you want the RPMs. This is what you bend. But there's another one, another bracket that comes out, right, where you can attach this spring to, and it's controlled by this lever. Or there's another one that has a, that you clip the spring onto this bracket, and you can move it this way or that way for a little bit of adjustment. But I'm going to make sure that this is on right when you're choking. Once you choke, this is closed. Make sure that lever is about there. And there we go. See? It's got the correct intake manifold along with the, you know, I should have just taken this whole thing off. Oh, but, you know, I had to replace the intake manifold from that one too. So, yeah, you had to do it. So there you go. Off choke, on choke. See? That works pretty well. This has the bent fuel input. So it goes over there. The new carb that I bought just went straight out. If you had one straight out, the hose would have to go like this and then do a bend, and it would hit the engine block and it wouldn't work. I think this came out, right? And this goes into this hole. Yep, I think that's right. So now we'll install it onto this. Number one, this goes into this top hole on the governor. The Z-bend goes into the second one, like this. The fuel nozzle goes in here. Sometimes you don't need a fuel hose clamp because the hose is so rubbery and new that it goes tightly right onto the nozzle. For that. The gasket from the intake manifold to the engine block has to be on there and new, because when you're dealing with the carburetor, right, any leakage of air is going to affect the fuel and air mixture. So that's why you have the gasket, is to ensure that there's no outside air or leakage. Where is the damn screw one? Just gonna never find it when you need it. Go. Now, should I put on this type of air cleaner? Does that make it look better? And it's not designed for it, because you see, this air breather apparatus is supposed to go into a hole that's cut out over here, you know? So that's really not the kind that you want. You want to just put this kind back on. You need the air filter base, like so. And this is how we put our air filter on. Just like that. So fuel should be flowing. And should be. We do have choke here. I'm just going to prime it a few times here. As you saw, once I took it off of choke, RPM was ridiculous. I'm going to blow an engine that way, you know what I mean? So basically, this lever over here needs to be bent back. I thought it was bent a little too much in the first place anyway, because this was from the original. Gotta be careful, that muffler is already hot. You know, so I'm just going to bend this thing back a little. Ooh, that might be too much. Bent it too much. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to try and see. That's too slow. RPMs are so slow that it almost, you know, wasn't really staying fired up, you know, wants to stall. So I'm just bending a little bit more that way. That'll be good. Still seems a little fast to me, so I'm going to bend it a little bit back a little. That ought to do it. There we go. We just adapted this thing to work on that guy, that other carburetor, and I mean, that engine can't be used. This engine can't be used for a lawnmower. You know what I mean? So but it still works though. So I'm just going to, just for fun, put this damn thing back together again and just put it on there, but it's going to leak, and it's, I mean, but I still want to put it together, you know what I'm saying? So that if I need it for another application, I know that somewhat works, but it's kind of leaky, but I could use it for testing. And this thing, I guess I'll just keep around until I find another engine for that deck, or if I need parts off of that engine, you know what I'm saying? I know that engine works, you know, it's just that the crankshaft doesn't have threads, and I've already stripped the inside trying to tap a thread in there. I might eventually give it to my friend Jason of TITESEAL Performance and see if he can tap a a good hole in there for me so I can get a bolt in there and put a blade on there and then be able to sell this, you know. But there might be somebody who just wants it as is, you know. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put this carburetor back together again. Okay, so finally we have a carburetor that does not leak. So this thing is good to sell now, even though it is missing a top engine cowling, you know, cosmetic stuff, but nevertheless, self-propelled works, bagger's good, it starts and it runs and it cuts, you know what I'm saying? So this is good to sell. Maybe $100, $125. I know I spent a lot of time on this, but it is what it is. Better than sitting in my yard. Now it can go somewhere, you know? In the meantime, the snapper. The snapper is just sitting around my yard doing squat. So I'm going to take up my buddy Jason over at TITESEAL Performance. Check him out on YouTube. He said, bring the bolts that you've been trying to get into that crankshaft. Crankshaft has no threads. I tried to tap it. I screwed it up. I never tapped the threads before, so I completely screwed it up. I just jammed these 3/8 bolts in there to see which one would fit. None of them really could fit. I have this long blade adapter, which is the only way you can get a power washer engine to work as a lawnmower, you know. Otherwise the blade would be riding too high up and hit the deck. So this is the only adapter you could use to have the blade sit at the normal height. So anyway, I'm gonna bring this snapper to Jason's house, and he takes it with him to work, and he's got a way to make a good tap. So hopefully he'll be able to tap me a good thread so I can get a bolt in there and secure the adapter along with the blade. So I'm just throwing those bolts in there. That's what I use to do that. It's all stripped. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he's going to try, and I'll throw this in there too. And I'm just going to bring it to him. Jason only lives about, 5 blocks away, so bring it to him. Okay, now to lift this up without breaking your back, right? I've been doing this a while, so you do it like this. You put your knee underneath this wheel to get leverage, right? Now that you got the leverage, you can touch it here. You're good. It's all about physics. So you see the way I did it, the leverage, knee, holding it so that, you're level. Get it over here without breaking your back, But I'm sure you guys knew that already. So I'm off to see Jason. I'm going to drop off that snapper to him. Like I said, he only lives like 5 blocks away. Here we are at Jason's house, and usually he is not home at this time of day. Jason's got a regular job like everybody else. That's how you take it down without breaking your back. Lower it as much as you can before the rear wheel hits. Then once it hits the ground, it's fine. Know what I mean? So I'm just gonna roll this over there for him. He's gonna say, what the hell, whose is that? It's just another day at Mowers and Blowers, you know what I mean? See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey guys, support my channel, buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next project. Have a great day. Holy cow.